Welcome, everybody. Okay, so
There's still people in the lobby.
yes, we're almost
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So, welcome, students, families, teachers, and administrative staff. We are very thrilled to have you us joining us on this exciting journey into the world of scientific research. And we are especially excited because we are celebrating the Science Week this week, and it is an amazing opportunity in which we are going to be sparking your curiosity as well. We're going to be sharing the wonders of science and scientific research. And today we have a special guest with us today, which is Dr. Lilian Calò. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about her profession and who she is, so you have an idea. And then she's gonna be sharing us wonders of scientific research. And Lilian Calò is a chemist from the Institute of Chemistry of the University of Sao Paulo, and she holds a PhD in biochemistry from the same institution. She has received a postdoc fellowship from the Humboldt Foundation of Germany, and she was as well a professor and researcher at the Department of Biochemistry at USP. She studied there the effects of free radicals in mutagenesis and carcinogenesis, and she was as well a manager of science communication at the Latin American and Caribbean Center of Health Science Information. And she has as well developed a lot of face to face and online classes and workshops in science communication in Brazil, in Latin America, and Caribbean countries. She has actually published over 40 scientific papers and book chapters and has written almost 100 science blog spots on scholarly communication. She is currently associate editor of the PAHO, an American Journal of Public Health, and the coordinator of SciELO Public Health well, collection. She is here to share with us her story and as well a little bit of how scientific research works. So, hopefully, you're going to be loving this because this is a part of science that will allow us to discover, share, and will be inspired constantly. So, thank you very much, Dr. Lilian.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very pleased to be with you today. And I will be giving you this presentation, which you do not have to take notes because at the end of this presentation, I will be sending to the organizers the PDF of the presentation. So you have links, you have many information that you could use. And if you feel that someone else would be interested, you can share with your colleagues, with your teachers, with your friends. And so you don't have to take notes. This presentation will be sent to you at the end of this event. So I will share my presentation with you. And if you have any doubts, and you can send your questions to Professor Carla, and then she can interrupt me, and we can discuss during my presentation. If you have a different viewpoint, or if you like to present your view, we can do this as a dialogue. Okay, so you can prepare your questions at the moment. Okay, you don't have to wait until the end of the presentation. Okay, so I will turn off my camera, and I will share my presentation. Okay. Okay, so I'm not allowed to share, Carla, my presentation. I have to be given some.
Teacher Cesar, could you help us out with the setting, please?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And there's still some people in the lobby, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, no worry. Now you can present.
Okay, thank you. So, just a second. No. This is not right. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so just a second. I have to put this somewhere else. Great. Okay, so just a second. This goes somewhere else. Okay. So in this photo, the title of my presentation is The Exciting World of Scientific Research. So today we are going to explore the fascinating world of scientific research, and we will discover what is it, why it's important, and how it shapes our understanding of the world around us. And so in this photo, you see the typical photo of a scientific lab. And in the photo below, you see a photo of, let's say, a forest. So because scientific research doesn't always happen in a lab, you have also to explore the environment, the nature around us. That's why it's so important to include the field research and not only the lab research. Okay? So just a second, I have to get rid of this small wait a second. Okay, great. Okay. So this is what Carla presented to you. This is the an abstract of my scientific career. And here I also present you photos of my family. I have two sons, Alessandro and Leonardo, and this is Alessandro with his family. They live in Germany, and they just gave me a little grandson. So they just had a baby. He's called Otto. And this is Leonardo with his girlfriend, and they still don't have a baby, but they have this lovely pet, which is called Dasha. Okay, so this is my lovely family. This is bothering me, so okay. Now, here. So, what is scientific research? Scientific research, I need to get rid of this. Okay. Okay, why is scientific research important? Because it advances technology. So many of the cool gadgets that we use today, like GPS, computers, smartphones, drones, and self-driving cars, they all are being developed through scientific research. So it's something that came through the years. It's not something that you just from one day to another, you develop a drone or a smartphone. It's something that evolves through many, many years of physics, math, and then one day you come with a cool gadget like GPS, like computers, like smartphones. Scientific research solve problems. So research help us find solutions to real world problems like preventing and fighting diseases, developing vaccines for existing and emerging diseases, find alternative sources of energy, and protecting the environment. And understanding our world. Research helps us learn more about nature, space, and about ourselves. It may seem that we already know, oh, I'm sorry. It may seem that we already know all about everything, like our human body. We haven't been studying this since the beginning of times, but we don't know exactly how many organs or many intracellular mechanisms works. So we still have many things to find out, and that's why scientific research is so important and we should keep on going. The impact of scientific research in daily life, for example, technology. So scientific research has led to the development of satellite, drones, smartphones, as we spoke, medicine and public health. So research has resulted in new treatments, vaccines, medical technologies, and life choices that help us live longer and healthier lives. And also the environment. Scientific discoveries help us understand climate change and develop sustained technologies such as renewable energy sources to protect our planet. What are the main types of scientific research? We have basic research. We call it basic research because it is done without any goal in mind. We just do research to better understand, let's say, the environment or living organisms. So it expands knowledge without immediately practical application. It seeks to understand fundamental principles. For example, studying how neurons communicate in the brain to understand cognition. You just study to get to know better a mechanism inside our bodies, okay? So it has no practical application in mind at the moment of the research. Applied research, on the other way, uses existing knowledge from basic research to solve practical problems. It is often industry or application driven. For example, developing a new drug to treat Alzheimer's disease based, developing a new drug to treat Alzheimer's disease based on neuroscience research. So you take all the knowledge from basic research, the knowledge about our brain, and you use this to develop new drugs to treat a disease, Alzheimer's disease. There is experimental research. For example, you can investigate the causal relationship through controlled experiments. Let's say you test the effectiveness of a new vaccine by conducting clinical trials, like the scientists did on the latest COVID pandemic. They had many candidates for a new vaccine, and they had to test the efficiency and the effectiveness of new vaccines by conducting clinical trials. And you also have observational research. What is that? It's when you observe and describe characteristics of a phenomenon without manipulating variables. Let's say when you conduct a survey to assess diet different populations and their relationship to metabolic disorders. Let's say to observe the dietary habits and compare them with a population to see how many of this population develop diabetes, for example. Okay, so you don't change the characteristic of your sample. You simply observe. You take a population and you observe what are they eating habits, and you see how many of these individuals in the population develop metabolic disorders. Okay, so you don't act on the sample, you simply, this is why observational research, it's very much used in public health. Okay. Let's talk about some famous researchers and what they accomplished. So, for example, Madame Curie. Madame Curie, she lived between 1867 and 1934. Marie Curie, she was a Polish-French physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity. What was her achievements? She discovered the radioactivity phenomena occurring in certain elements, and she discovered the chemical elements what she called polonium because of her motherland. She was from Poland, and she called this element polonium, and radium because of the radioactivity. Those elements have the radioactivity property. And she was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in 1903. And she also was the only person to win 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 scientific fields, physics in 1903 and chemistry in 1911. And so these are the 2 symbols of the polonium and radium, and these are the representation in the periodic table of the elements of those 2 elements, polonium and radium. And she was very famous because
Okay, so I think that Dr. Linian has presented a bit of an inconvenience with the connection. So let's just give it a few minutes so she can as well reconnect. Hi, Dr. Lilian.
yeah, I'm sorry, there was some glitch in the energy in my region. I'm so sorry, but
That's okay.
it was just a glitch, but now I'm back. Now I'm back. I'm so sorry. Let me just share again my presentation. Just a second. I will come back real. Just a second. Okay, I will share here.
Thank you. And thank you for your patience as well, guys. I think that you already know about Marie Curie. So that's that's a scientist that you have been talking about maybe in your science class, in chemistry class. So it is really exciting to continue talking about all these scientists and, well, their importance in their field. Now
Can
we
you
can
see
see
my
your,
screen?
yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to put this somewhere else. Yeah, here. Okay. So you see my screen, and now we're back to Madame Curie. Is that okay?
Yes, that's perfect.
Good. Okay. So we're going to the next famous researcher, Albert Einstein. We couldn't miss Einstein. So he was born in 1879 and passed away in 1955, the beginning of the 20th century. Who was he? He was a German-born theoretical physicist who developed the theory of relativity. What was his achievements? He developed the quantum theory that explains the why light behaves both like a particle and a wave. And he established the equivalence of matter and energy through the equation, the famous equation, energy equals the mass times the speed of the light square. Okay? And he revolutionized our understanding of a space, time, and gravity. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his many contributions to theoretical physics. This was Einstein. And we have a different example of a scientist, which is Dame. Dame is the equivalent of the title of Sir. You have heard of when a person does something very distinguished, receives the title of Sir. The feminine equivalent of Sir is Dame. So she is Dame Jane Goodall, and Dr. Goodall is a British zoologist, is still alive, primatologist and anthropologist who known for her groundbreaking work with chimpanzees. She discovered that chimpanzees can use tools, changing our understanding of human uniqueness. So before her discoveries, we thought that only human could use tools, instruments. But then Dr. Goodall discovered that also chimpanzees can use instruments and tools. And she conducted the longest running wildlife research projects in the world. So she went to Africa, to Tanzania, and she spent most of her life together living with the chimpanzees in their environment, studying the habits of the chimpanzees. And she advocates for environmental conservation and animal welfare. She's a true hero for doing this. Now, I would like to acknowledge something very important, which is the famous researchers of each of the countries that many of your students are from. So let's highlight the scientists from Argentine. We have Luis Federico Leloir. Leloir was an Argentine physician and biochemist who received the 1970 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his discovery of the metabolic pathways by which carbohydrates, let's say sugars, are synthesized and converted into energy in the body. So the carbohydrate metabolic pathway is one of the most important pathways in biochemistry. Is that the way our body produces energy when we eat sugars and things like bread, which are made of carbohydrates as well. And so Leloir's discovery is something very central in biochemistry. And we have also Cesar Milstein, who was also an Argentinian biochemistry in the field of antibody research. Milstein shared the Nobel Prize of Physiology or Medicine in 1984, more recently, for developing the technique for producing monoclonal antibodies, which is a very interesting technique which is used very often in clinical medicine. From Brazil, we have Oswaldo Cruz, which was a Brazilian physician, pioneer bacteriologist and epidemiologist, and a public health officer, the founder of the Oswaldo Cruz Institute in Rio de Janeiro. He was inspired by the work of Louis Pasteur, and he had developed the germ theory of disease. And he went to Paris to specialize in bacteriology as the Pasteur Institute. And Carlos Chagas, who lived more or less in the same time as Oswaldo Cruz, who was a Brazilian sanitary physician, a scientist and microbiologist. And he was very well known for the discovery of the protozoal infection known as Chagas disease. The disease took the name of his discoverer. And he did this while he was working at the Oswaldo Cruz Institute. So both scientists worked together. We have also from Chile, Humberto Maturana. Maturana was a biologist and philosopher. And along with his collaborator, Francisco Varela, they developed the concept of autopoiesis in the 1970s. This theory describes how living systems are self-organizing and self-producing, meaning they maintain their own structure and function through internal processes. Their work had a major impact in biology, cognitive science, and system theory, influencing fields such as artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and philosophy of the mind. So you see, work from a biologist and a philosopher from the earlier 1900s can influence artificial intelligence and neuroscience. So can you figure out how all fields of knowledge are intertwined? So you say, oh, philosophy is something that I don't understand. It's very complicated. I prefer mathematics. But everything is related. Everything takes part. Every knowledge is important for the development of other fields of knowledge. So neuroscience, philosophy, artificial intelligence, physics, chemistry, everything is interconnected. That is why sometimes in research groups, you have collaboration of several people from different backgrounds. I remember when I studied at Universidade de São Paulo, our group had biologists, pharmacologists, physicists. We had a Japan engineer who came to work with us. And so the most diverse the environment, the richer the contribution becomes sometimes, because you have many different points of view, and different points of view can enrich the discussions and the discoveries, because everybody can bring their contributions to the same objective. Okay, this is very important for us to take this example from, for instance, Maturana. From Colombia, we have Manuel Patarroyo. Patarroyo was a Colombian immunologist, a pathologist, and academic who was professor of pathology and immunology. He was behind the world's first attempt to create a synthetic vaccine against the protozoal parasite Plasmodium falciparum, which causes malaria, severe malaria, and which is responsible for the death of about 1.5 million people per year in tropical and subtropical regions, including part of the Americas, Asia, and Africa. So this is a contribution of Patarroyo. Ecuador, we have Eugenia del Pino, is a biologist, is still alive. She's a biologist known for her pioneering research on frog embryology. Her work has helped bridge the gap between developmental biology in South America species and traditional model organisms like Xenopus frogs. She was the first Ecuadorian scientist elected to the US National Academy of Sciences, and her contributions have been important for understanding evolutionary adaptations in amphibian development. From Mexico, we have Mario José Enriquez Molina. He was a Mexican physical chemist. He played a pivotal role in the discovery of the Antarctic ozone layer hole. This means a breaking in the ozone layer, which is very deleterious because the ozone layer protects us from the UV radiation from the sun. And if this ozone layer has a hole, then the harmful UV radiation can cause skin cancer in humans. And he was a co-recipient of the 1995 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his role in discovering the threats to the Earth's ozone layer from chlorofluorocarbon CFC gases. The CFC gases were used in refrigerators and freezers. And because of his discovery, they were discontinued. So they had to find other chemicals to be used in refrigerators and freezers that do not damage the ozone layer. Because as I said, we have to be protected by the ozone layer. Otherwise, we get skin cancer from the UV radiation from the sun. He was the first Mexican-born scientist to receive a Nobel Prize in Chemistry and the third Mexican-born person to receive a Nobel Prize. What do we have now? We have Peru. Peru, we have a different contribution because Julio Tello was a Peruvian archaeologist, and he's considered the father of the Peruvian archaeology. He was the first indigenous archaeologist in South America. He made the major discoveries of prehistoric Paracas culture and founded a National Museum of Archaeology and served as its first director. In addition, he investigated Chavin de Huantar as the focus for his work in the Andean highlands, which he believed was significant for the development of ancient cultures in the region. So you have here a different kind of scientist. So he studied the archaeology of the Peruvian highlands, the Andean highlands, and he found out their contribution for the culture of the region. So not all the time a scientist is something related to medicine, biology, biochemistry. Julio Tello made a very important contribution in the archaeology of the Peruvian culture. So this is also very important. Venezuela, we have Jacinto Convit. He was a medical researcher and physician best known for developing a vaccine against leprosy by combining the Bacillus Mycobacterium leprae with a BCG vaccine. His work also contributed to research on leishmaniasis, another neglected tropical disease, which is devastating. He dedicated his life to public health, focusing on improving treatment for underprivileged communities in Latin America. In 1988, he was nominated, but unfortunately he didn't win, the Nobel Prize in Medicine for his contributions. So you see how many interesting and brilliant scientists we have in our Latin America. They were very important for the development of science and medicine and our culture in our region. Okay, the scientific method. Let's talk a little bit about how do scientists come up with ideas and results about a scientific question. First of all, you ask a question. You start with something you're curious about. So you ask what, who, why, when, where, how. So you choose a field and then a subfield, and you say, I will discover something about this. And then you do your background research. So your research starts at the library, not at the lab, but at the library. Or at your computer nowadays. Everything is digitized, so you can look if you have access to a database in your computer, you go there. So you learn what's already known about your topic, because perhaps what you're trying to discover has already been studied and it's published. So you have to look for what you're looking to discover hasn't been done already and it's published. So you do a background research, and there are specific methods to do a very thorough background research. You use keywords, you go to the specific databases. There are more than one, there are more than 100, and you learn how to look for your topic if it hasn't already been researched and published. Then you propose a hypothesis. I will look for this, and I think it goes this way. Okay, so you make an educated guess about the answer. And then what you do, you go to the lab. Now you go to the lab and you're going to test. You will design and conduct experiments to test your hypothesis. This can take years, okay? This can take many years, because when you start working in the lab, it's not straightforward. You see, I will test this and I will obtain this result. Maybe you get a result completely different from what you were guessing. And this will lead to other experiments, and this will lead to other things. And it will lead you to places you never thought you were going to be. And then you go to a meeting, and then you talk to other people, and other people will tell you, oh, yes, try this, try that. And then you go for 6 months to another lab, and then you spend some time there with another technique, and then you come back. You see, it will bring you to different things you never imagined at the beginning, okay? So you test your hypothesis can take, let's say, if you're a PhD student, it will take 4 or 5 years or something like that. So you design and conduct experiments is the longest phase of this diagram I'm showing to you, okay? It will take a really long time, but this is good. And then you have your results, and then you analyze your results, and then you make some tests about statistics, and you find out whether your results are significant, and then you test whether your results are reproducible, because if you obtain your results once, it doesn't mean that, oh, it's okay, I obtained this result, I will hold on to this and then great. No, you have to repeat them many and many and many times until they are reproducible, until they are consistent, okay? Because if they are not reproducible, you cannot obtain this result just once. You have to obtain the same results consistently. Other people may test and you have to ask your colleagues from another institution, please do this again for me and see if you get the same results. Results in science has to be consistent, has to be reproducible. Otherwise, it's not a result, something by chance. It's raining, this result. Sunshine, the same result. Okay? So it has to be consistent. And the statistics has to make sense. Okay? This is also very time consuming. Then finally you have everything is great, is beautiful, the statistics is nice, it's reproducible. Then you finally, I will write my paper, my article, and I will share my findings with the world. This is great. And then it's time consuming a little bit, but you have techniques and you have rules how to write your paper and submit it to a journal. Okay? Let's go. Any questions until now? Now it's okay. Can I go further? Good.
So, sorry, Dr. Lilian. Just in case that
Yeah.
you guys would like to ask her any questions, I know that some of you are as well trying to write the questions to ask Dr. Lilian, but in case that you want to tell her directly, you can tell us and we can allow you to turn on your microphone so you can share. And something actually very exciting for us, Dr. Lilian, is that our students actually work with the scientific method constantly during their classes. So they are used to follow those steps as well when we do some experiments and when we try and analyze all the results. So as you see, guys, this is actually something that we do use constantly in science, either if it's in a real lab or home version of what we do in the experiments. So thank you,
Great.
Dr. Lilian.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think we do have a question.
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it.
So, Susa, if that's okay with you, we can allow you to use your mic and you can ask Dr. Lilian your question.
So, hi, I'm Susanna, and I have this question that how scientists do to discover something they didn't know, like it exists?
Let me see if I understood your question. How do they know if something exists before doing the experiment?
Yeah, like I mean, how they discover things because they don't know that that thing exists. So how can they prove and know that that element or something exists?
They don't. We don't. You never know. Let's say it happens very, very often that you're trying to discover or to prove something. You do an experiment and you're expecting to see the result A, and you see result Z, which is completely different from what you expected. But sometimes what you see, it's way more interesting than what you expected. But I don't want this. I do not like this. I want to pursue what I was expecting. It doesn't matter. Sometimes, very often, it happens that you are so sure that you want to prove your hypothesis that you say, listen, the experiment I did on that day, I wasn't feeling well, my test tubes weren't clean and I wasn't okay. I will just dismiss these results. I will do it again until I get what I want, which means result A. And you get again D. And you say, no, listen, impossible. I want to get A. And finally, you do it 10 times and you still get Z. And you say, okay. And so that's why sometimes people who analyze the behavior of researchers, say you cannot cherry pick. You know the expression cherry pick? It's when you look at a bowl of cherries and you just pick the most beautiful, the most red, and the most ripe. You cannot do that. You have to take the whole. And so scientists cannot cherry pick their results. They have to take the whole. And then they have to analyze the whole. But you cannot say, I know this point is outside my curve. I take it away. And this, I wasn't in a good day. No, this one, it was raining. I don't like it. You cannot do that because it will not reflect the reality. The reality is all the data points, the good, the bad, the day it was raining, the day you had a headache and you wasn't good at the lab. Everything you have to take together, you know, and then you analyze all of them together. Your line or your curve with all the points will not be perfect because science is not perfect, but you will have something that you have to analyze and take a conclusion. Because sometimes what you do get, it's much more interesting than what you suppose. So I don't know who said that, the famous scientist. No, it was Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes said, you draw your theory from data and you don't, and not the other way around. Okay, you have to have your data and then you draw your theory. You do not get your theory and then you find your data. So when Sherlock Holmes was solving a crime, he take all the evidence and then he presents his theory. This is the theory I present, okay? And not the other way around. So you cannot make your data, no, you cannot make your theory adjust. No, you cannot make your results to fit your theory. Your theory will fit your results, always. Okay? So it's wrong if you try to adjust and you try to cherry pick your data and say, no, I want to pursue my theory because my theory is right. Your theory is just a theory. It's your experiments that will show you the right path. Okay? So you never know what you're going to find. You never know. You can have an idea, but only the experimental results and the observation of nature, of the living things or the chemical things will show you how it really works. Otherwise, it's worthless. If you knew, why would you have to do the experiments? Okay? Good.
Thank you so
We
much.
have another question. Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Susa. As well, we have Sophia. She would like to ask you as well. So, Sophia,
Sure,
go
Sophia.
ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm Brazilian. I live in the north. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you, Dr. Lilian. I'm Brazilian here, especially from USP. It's really nice to have this kind of representation. When I said the word from there, I was quite excited. And well, I have two questions for you. The first one is, what was the most impressive piece of information you found during all your research? Or the most impressive, or the most curious, or the one most unexpected?
Okay, during my research.
Yes, the research that you had, like all of them.
Okay. When I was, this was already my postdoctoral work. We were studying active oxygen species. What are active oxygen species? It's very short-lived ions or radicals, which are not substances. it's like intermediates of during, and those are very short-lived. They lived seconds, but they are formed during some chemical reactions, and they are, let's say, you can have UV light forming those species, and you can have also chemical reactions forming those species. We treated, the professor from our lab had some ideas about this species. And so we treated, there was some published work about, you know, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, the same one we use to make our hair blonde. Hydrogen peroxide, okay? Água oxigenada. Okay? Yeah. There are chemical evidences that this compound, this chemical compound, is very harmful. And in the presence of iron, it undergoes a series of reactions that form this very short-lived species that can harm intracellular structures, among them DNA. And so we treated the cells in culture in petri dishes, not in living organisms, but in petri dishes, with low concentrations of H2O2. And we observed that they produced cuts in the DNA. We saw this from previous experiments that it produces cuts in the DNA. And so we thought, what about, do this produce mutation in cells? And so when I spent 2 years in Germany, I learned some techniques about cell transformation in vitro, not in vivo, in animals, but in vitro. And so I brought this technique to Brazil. And we tested and we saw that, yes, they produce mutation. I said, okay, let's test if they produce transformation. If they were able to transform a cell from normal to a cancerous cell. And it did. So H2O2 was able to mutate the DNA of a cell and induce the cell to become malignant. Because the cell, when it's a normal cell, it grows until the petri dish is full, but only one single layer. They do not pile up. They respect their confluence and they grow one very near to the other, but they stop when they reach, we call confluence. But the transformed cell, they do not stop. They start piling and form, we call the foci. And we observed that when we treated the cells with H2O2, very low concentrations, they started piling up. So we proved that in vitro, we did not test this in vivo, but in vitro, H2O2 was able to transform a cell from normal to cancerous. And we keep using H2O2 to dye our hair and to use it in our skin when we go to the beach. So it's blonde, it's beautiful, it's not so good.
Yeah.
So this was my first breakthrough that I said, okay, this is a very interesting finding.
Okay.
And the reaction was mediated by iron ions, because when we sequestrated iron, the reaction did not occur.
Okay, that's very much interesting. And I have some oxygen.
I can send you the paper if you like. I can send
Yeah,
you the
please.
paper if you want to read it.
Please, thank you. I need to search some words too, because my English is not too scientific, but now
Okay,
I'm
do it in
curious.
Portuguese. Do it in Portuguese.
Thank you. And well, this was unexpected for me too. And now I have some here to do, well, some experience, but I think I will put in the trash this month. And well, the second question is actually, if you have any suggestion of how could I conduct my own scientific research at home, well, with simple materials and observations that I could do in my yard, for example, my backyard, for example.
Oh, this is hard. I would suggest something with the, I don't know, plant growth. At the end of this presentation, there are some websites which I think you can find something interesting in that. Wait just a few slides, I will have some ideas, okay?
Okay, and
Good.
do you think it is possible to do also some interesting scientific research regarding the relationship of the animals, like little like birds and ants and all? Because sometimes I look at my environment here beside my home, and I start to look at all of the the animals, and sometimes I ask myself if they have some relationship between them, like the ants and the butterflies, for example. And do you think it is possible to conduct at my backyard?
It's kind of tricky because I would prefer to have a zoologist or someone who knows a little bit better about, but online you can research a lot of things in order to conduct an experiment with some background. Okay, but I have some websites you can look for some ideas, okay, because it's kind of, it's difficult, okay?
Okay,
but okay, but do you live in Brazil?
Yes, I'm living like the other around in the north.
Okay.
I'm near Manaus. I'm
okay.
like 200.
That's
Yes,
nice.
that's far for you. And I live in
yeah.
Novairão. And just for to have an idea, I don't know if you know what it is.
Okay, but I think I have some websites you can look for something more, but you have to have some background from a teacher or something to do something more with a background. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Okay.
Thank you. Anyways, I will gather the tips.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your questions as well, Sophia. I think that all of us found very, very interesting what you shared with us, Dr. Lilian, about peroxide. So it is very common that we have it in our houses and that we commonly use it for dyeing our hair.
Yeah.
But people might not be aware of that. So that is actually very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And we actually have more questions from the students and from one teacher. So is it okay with you if we check those questions?
Sure.
Thank you. So next question comes from Johan. So Johan, if you would like to ask.
Sure.
Yes. So I just have a simple question. I would like to ask you, which countries do more scientific research in the world?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is interesting because when I started studying the scientific output of countries, United States was, of course, in the first place. This was 2008. And when I read about scientific production, they said until 2020, China will surpass the United States. And everybody was very skeptical about that, but it really happened. So today we have China is the leader of scientific production with 21%. US comes next with 16%. The third one is India, surpassing UK. So India has 5%, UK has 4%, Germany 4%, Japan, France, and Italy, each of them with 3%. South Korea also 3%, Canada 2%. So this is the first 10 the 10 countries which more publish scientific papers according to data from the National Science Foundation and the Nature Index. So it's reliable data from 2024. Because 2025 is still at the beginning, so you have to just wait until the end of the year until you have data from 2025. But China has already surpassed the US with 21% and US 16%. So the prophecy has been observed. And they surpassed the United States. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I thought the United States will be in the first place.
Yeah, no, not anymore. It was until, let's say, 2018, perhaps, but then China was already becoming at the same level in the United States, and now China is 21% and US 16%. So they are really leaders now of scientific output. And it's something that was already being predicted this in 2008 without knowing what was going on right now. Unfortunately, this unincentive way treating the universities and so on, this was not known in 2008, you know, and the prediction was already that China would surpass the US. So we have to give them what was going on right now was not predicted in 2008. So nobody knew.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much as well for your question, Johan. And well, actually, those numbers seem to be as well for maybe some of you something that you wouldn't be expecting because yeah, maybe most of us would think that US would be in the first place, but now we have China. So in there, well, there's I lost my math. So in here, um, in any case, thank you very much, Johan. And as well, we have Maddie. Maddie wants to ask you a question as well, Dr. Lilian. Maddie, you're
Yes,
now
Maddie.
able to ask.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
clear.
So, hi, Dr. Lilian. So I have this question for you, but I first want to clarify something. My mom, she is an immunologist, and she has written like along her life plenty of articles about diseases and like really hard topics and that kind of stuff. So I've been thanking her like by my whole life, like that's like as an inspiration, and I want to
That's
dedicate
great.
something like about medicine, right, when
Yeah.
a grown up. And she has told me like plenty of times that I should start writing like articles, like maybe not as hard as as she does, but like as an start, start writing something. And I would like you to ask, like, to give me some advice to her starting to write an article.
Sure. If you give me some slides, I will get to a point. There is a project where there is a journal where they use young students as young as 13 years old as peer reviewers. And so let me get to there, and I give you the reference, and you can start with this journal. You can read papers, and I think this is a start. So just let me get to there, and then I'll talk to you specifically when you get to this point. Okay? Can you wait a little, some more slides?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. This is a great idea, and you're really very fortunate to have your your mother with a scientific career. This is wonderful, really something. Okay, so let's go on. And so we ended here our slide from the scientific method with sharing your findings through an article to be published. So let's have a look at this step with a little more details. How do we write and publish a paper? So if you have a solid hypothesis supported by a consistent set of results, okay, coming from last slide. The writing process involves a title, and the title should be very carefully chosen because it is the first interface that the public, scientists, and the general public will have with your paper, with your article. So it's you have to choose the title very carefully, because if the title is too long or if it uses many acronyms, people will dismiss or will get interested in your, it's like a movie. When you choose a movie, the first thing you know about a movie without, let's say, seeing the poster or the actors, it's the title. And the title calls for your attention immediately. Titanic. And so the first thing you know about a paper is its title. So choose the title carefully and do not use any acronym if it's not DNA, RNA. For you, the acronym can be very known, but everybody knows about that. No, many people doesn't know. And if they doesn't know the acronym, the meaning of the acronym. So for me, NSF is National Science Foundation. For me, NSF is okay. If you wake me up in the middle of the night and you say NSF, I know what it is. But many people don't, because I'm in the area of scientific publishing. NSF for me, it's okay. But for many people, they don't know what NSF it is. And so if you use an acronym which is not really well known, like DNA, RNA, you miss people which don't know what the acronym is. And then you have the abstract, which is very important because it's the second interface of your target audience, let's say, and your article. They read the title. If they like the title, they go to the abstract. Okay? So you have two chances to conquer your audience, title and then abstract. And then you go introduction, methodology, results, discussion, and the bibliography. And then you add keywords, which in health sciences, you have, let's say, thesaurus, which is, the keywords are defined and limited. And you only can use those keywords, okay? In other areas, it's not so much, but in health sciences, you have just those keywords. And if you use something different from those keywords, it's death, okay? We will talk about that if we have time. And then you write the acknowledgements. I thank very much Professor ABC because he revised my manuscript. I thank my dear colleague Paul because he did the calculation of the let's say, statistics or something like that. The financing sources, you have some grants from the NSF, conflicts of interest and other things. Then you choose a journal to send your manuscript. Choosing a journal, it's another soap opera. It's something really, really, it involves many decision-making processes. Okay. And then the journal editor-in-chief, which is the boss of the journal, receives your article. And then he looks after a preliminary analysis. If he thinks your article is worth sending to review, he will send your manuscript to be peer-reviewed. This means that other scientists will evaluate your article. The peer review is the most important step that a paper will undergo if you send it to a journal. And then he will send to 2 or 3 peer reviewers, and then those scientists, which are your peers, which are your colleagues, which is called peer review. And they will analyze your paper very, very much in details. In table 1, you do not, you forgot to use this. Your introduction is missing this reference. Your results are, they will really, really, if they are good reviewers, they will go through X-ray in your article, okay? And then they will decide if your article is good enough to be published, yes or maybe, or it's good, but you have to do a series of things that he will or she will list you before accepting. If no, you will choose another journal to send your manuscript, and then this gray box goes back to here, and you start the process all over again. But if it's yes or maybe, then you publish your paper, and then it's okay, I published my paper, and then you have publication, and this is a conquest, and this is a kind of a prize that you have published your paper. And you are very much valued in the academic career by the number of papers in whichever journal you have published. And this is very, very important that you have such and such papers. Okay, let's go. What are scientific journals? We said you publish in a scientific journal, but what are scientific journals? Well, scientific journals are periodic publications. They are published every month, every 2 months, every quarter, every 6 months, every year. Each journal has to define its own periodicity, okay? Where results from scientific research, are published. The main feature is that they perform peer review of all studies they publish, and there is a committee of experts, which is called editorial committee, that decides all matters pertinent to the publication. Types, we have discipline specificity, so you have a journal for biochemistry, a journal for physics, a journal for computer science, and a journal for philosophy. Okay, you have multidisciplinary journals, let's say for journals from the National Academy of Science. They publish papers from many, many different subjects. And you have journals for science disseminations, like Scientific American, which are journals aimed to the general public and students, which are those that you may be interested to read right now that you are in high school, because they bring many interesting subjects at the level that you can understand, because scientific journals sometimes are very technical and you cannot grasp the entirety of the paper. But science dissemination journals are just for you, and you may read as much as you like. Okay, some of them are online. It's important. Scientific journals are important because they allow the broad dissemination of research outcomes worldwide to scientists in the fields, to science in related areas, and to professional technical experts and many others, including teachers, graduate and undergraduate students, and society in general. Remember this sentence: if it's not published, it does not exist. You discovered something very interesting. If you're not published in a paper, it does not exist. You have to publish in order to disseminate it to the world, okay? Are scientific journals the only form to publish scientific outcomes? No. Thankfully, no. You also have preprints. Preprints is something quite recent, and preprints is something very, let's say, controversial. Some scientists say a preprint is something which it's not good because it doesn't perform peer review. Oh, it performs peer review after publishing, if it does. But I think preprints are very useful because those journals we saw here, all of those nice, colorful journals, they belong to publishers. And publishers are not in Brazil. In Brazil, we have scientific journals which belong to scientific societies, universities. They are not for profit. They are just to, let's say, publish the scientific output of the Brazilian scientists and Latin America scientists as well. But if you take all the big scientific journals, let's say Nature, Science, Journal of the American Chemical Society, and all the Circulation, Kidney, and all these big journals, they belong to publishers. And those publishers are very, very big multinational corporations, which earns tons of money by publishing those journals, which today mostly they are online. The printed form, which are shown here, doesn't exist anymore because it costs too much money to print and to send this by mail. So everything is online. Online or not online, those publishers, we used to call them 5 big publishers. There's Elsevier, there's Taylor and Francis, there's Nature, Springer Nature. I always forgot the name of the last 2, but there are 5 big publishers. They earn billions. This is a very big deal, a very big industry, the scientific publishers. And they reserve the rights to publish what they want. So the editors-in-chief are well-paid researchers, very good researchers from big, huge universities, and they are what they call the gatekeepers. You know, in football, the guy who stands in front of the goal and do not let the ball come in, these are called gatekeepers. The gatekeepers are the editors of those journals. They do not let any research come in. They let only the research that they deem good enough to come into those, to be published in those journals. So try to publish a negative result. This doesn't happen in this way. It's a result. It's a negative result, but it's a result. Try to publish a negative result in a scientific journal. You can't. You don't. You will never publish a negative result. A very, very, let's say, innovative result science, fringe science. You will never publish fringe science in a traditional journal. The goalkeeper, the gatekeeper will never allow you. So they manipulate the system the way they want. So controversial results you do not publish. So if you have something like that, or if you want to publish something really, really fast without going, an example, a practical example, when during COVID, some scientists sequenced the genome of the COVID virus. They put it in a preprint. Why? Because it didn't have peer review. So in 24 hours, the sequenced genome of the virus was available for the world to start working on a vaccine. If they would send it to a journal, it would take at least 6 to 8 months to go to peer review, to publish, and this and that. So if they want something to go fast, they put it into a preprint. Everybody was taking this sequence and working on vaccines. We had many. We had not just one vaccine. We had many vaccines. You know that. So if you want something to be published fast and to give the author credibility and I did this to prove that you were the first to publish on that, you go to a preprint. But the preprint doesn't do peer review. It's true, but you should not stay only on the preprint. You follow this scheme. You have the preprint, you post in the preprint server, simultaneously or just right after, you submit to a journal. The journal does peer review, and then it edits, and then it's accepted to a journal. And then you have both the preprint, which is fast, you do what you like, and then you have your peer review. It's not said that you have a preprint and you will stay only with a preprint. A preprint is something to go together with peer review by a journal later on. Okay? So preprint is interesting, and it's not the enemy of peer review or normal papers. And those here, bioRxiv, medRxiv, arXiv, SciELO preprints, sociArXiv, chemArXiv, AfricArXiv are preprints servers or preprint repositories, which are good quality, very, very fast, very, very famous, and everybody's publishing preprints, and the world needs to be modernized and not stay just only in the hands of the gatekeepers. I sense a question here.
Yes, teacher Allison had a question, and we were chatting with her, and we would like her to be sharing this almost at the end during our Q&A. And just because we opened the space, I just wanted to thank you as well very much because of you being able to share all these valuable information with us. And just wanted to share a quick note about the time. We are almost approaching to the end of our scheduled time. I will let you know how much time we have left, but I just wanted to do that or to share that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so here in Colombia, at least is good morning, Miss. So first of all, I'm so excited because these spaces are so amazing. I consider strongly that we need more people that can investigate, can research. This is the future of our society. For that reason, these spaces are so beautiful, right? So I want to say thank you for these spaces. I want to ask you two questions. The first one is, in accordance to your experience, what do you think that are the most important items that an article has to have when the people who review these articles can say, oh, okay, I will approve this article, or I won't approve this article? What do you think that are the most important items that we have to keep into account when we are doing an article?
It's many, many things. First of all, you have to be an expert on the subject that you're evaluating the article. Okay, so the article writes about, let's say, antibodies. You have to be the king of antibodies, because if they send you this paper for you to analyze, you have to know everything about antibodies. Okay, but you shouldn't be the full professor, the dean of the University X. You can be a postdoc. We just finish your PhD, but your PhD was about antibodies, and so you know everything about antibodies. A good peer reviewer doesn't need to be someone powerful or someone very experienced and very high in the career. No, it has to be someone who knows about the subject. Okay, just that. And you will read the paper, and when you read the paper, you will know what are the flaws, something that was not explained well, something in the methodology that looks bad, a reference that is missing, a calculus that was not done well. You will see, you will smell that something is not right. And then you will ask the right questions because you know the subject. Okay, so there are not one right questions to ask, but if you know the subject, you will see and you will realize immediately what's going on, what's not right, what's missing from the paper, and you will ask. And then you will receive again the paper after the author reviewed, answered your questions, and you will get the paper once again. It's okay now. And you will be the same reviewer to say, now it's okay. You answer my questions, you modified accordingly. Now it's okay. Okay?
Beautiful, amazing, so useful. And the last question is, so what is your advice, or what is an advice that you can give to someone who wants to dedicate his or her life to the researching world? What can be the most important advice that you can give?
First of all, you will not make too much money. Okay? Second, you won't have evenings, weekends, and sometimes holidays. So be aware to tell your family, your wife, your kids that you won't be available. Preferentially, marry someone with the same career that you. She will understand. Okay? So, because if you marry someone which is not from the same career as you, and she will expect you to work from 9 to 5, it won't happen. You will not work from 9 to 5. Okay? So expect to spend weekends, holidays in the lab.
Beautiful.
That's
Amazing.
it.
Amazing. I love that you can be honest, because it's absolutely true. But if you have passion, it doesn't matter. So thank you so much for your answers.
Thank you very
Okay,
much
let's
as well,
go.
Sister Alison. And sorry, Dr. Lilian, just wanted to let you know that we have about 15 minutes remaining from our session.
Yeah,
we would love
okay,
to continue
I'll go.
hearing your final insights.
Yeah, okay, let's go. Disseminating research outcomes. So scientific conference are gatherings with expert researchers and students within a specific discipline come together to share research, discuss advancements, and network, fostering collaboration and knowledge exchange. So you can present your results through a conference, lecture, panel, debate, or a poster presentation. Okay? Normally, you have fewer conferences and a lot of poster presentation. So this is how students present their research. And also you can post on social media and blogs. So authors, science communicators, and journal editors disseminate scientific outcomes in social media. This helps people who does not read scientific papers in scientific journals get to know about scientific new scientific outcomes. So you go to Facebook, Instagram, and you see posts like this, and you get to know, you have the link to the full article if you want to read it, if you're from the area. But you can also see, oh, how interesting, they discovered this and this and that. And so social media today is a very common way to share scientific discoveries. And those articles who are shared through social media get more page views and also more citations, okay, than those who do not. Open science, this is something very important. Open science is the practice of making scientific research, data, and publication accessible to everyone. It is meant to increase transparency, accountability, reproducibility, collaboration, and dissemination of knowledge in the scientific community and society. The benefits are faster scientific progress, better reproducibility of results, ensure data to be safely stored for future generations, and more opportunities for people to get involved in science. So UNESCO, which is, let's say, responsible for this initiative, intends to make science more closer to the people and not only to scientists. And this is very interesting. The 3 pillars of scientific results are open access, open data, and open peer review. Very briefly, open access means free access to scientific information and unrestricted use of electronic data of everyone. Let's say, when you click on a paper and you can download it for free, this is an indication of open access. It is open access for sure when the copyright belongs to the authors. Then it's really open access. It benefits authors because it gives them more visibility, universities for the same reason, and reducing their expenses, making subscriptions to journals, teachers and students by putting rich and poor on an equal footing by eliminating the need for payments or permissions to reproduce and distribute content. Open data means the practice of making raw data, the data used to write the paper from scientific studies, freely available for use, for others to use in new studies and also to analyze. It allows other researchers to verify results, enables new discoveries using existing data, avoiding new experiments, and promotes collaboration between scientists. Besides regular data, genome databases, climate data repositories, and astronomical observations are often stored in open data repositories. An open peer review process makes the details of all review process, including reviewers, associate editors, and editors' comments, in public open form for everyone to read as a part of the article. So it provides more transparency, more kind comments. All parts are motivated since their opinions will be public. It is useful to educate young reviewers and promote greater honesty to the review process. Okay, so those are the pillars of open science. Challenges in scientific research, mainly funding, because scientific research can be very expensive. Time, some experiments and studies can take years or even decades, and funding discontinuing can waste progress already made. This is happening right now in the United States, that some projects are simply being discontinued. Complexity. Many scientific problems are incredibly complex and require collaboration between institutions, countries, and many different fields. Ethics. Researchers must carefully consider the ethical implications of their work, especially if it involves certain cell types, human or animal subjects. Scientific, just a second. The future of scientific research. I will leave you to read this because we are short on time, but I would like to the most important scientific discoveries. This is very important. The theory of gravity by Isaac Newton, the germ theory of disease by Louis Pasteur, the structure of DNA by Watson and Crick in 1953, the theory of evolution by natural selection by Darwin, electricity and magnetism by James Maxwell, the laws of motion by Newton, the theory of relativity by Albert Einstein, the discovery of antibiotics by Alexander Fleming, the periodic table of the elements by Mendeleev, and vaccination pioneered by Edward Jenner. To get involved in science, this is what I would like to be with you. Stay curious, ask questions about the world around you and look for answers. Read scientific news, follow science websites. I will show you which science magazines and social media channels to learn about discoveries. Join science clubs. Try, this is my answer to, what was her name? The girl,
Maria Andrea.
Mari, this is what I wanted to show you. Citizen Science, the journal Frontier Young Minds. This is the link. Employs young students as peer reviewers. Scientists are invited to write about their discoveries in a language that is accessible to young readers. And it is up to them, and it is then up to the kids themselves, with the help of a science mentor, to provide feedback and explain to the authors how to best improve the articles before publication. So I suggest you to go to Kids Frontiers, which is a serious journals from the publisher Frontiers. They have other journals you can look up too. But this is very interesting because peer review is being done by 13-year-old kids. And this is very interesting. And so there is a science mentor who provides feedbacks and help the kids to show the authors, which are scientists, to write in order to kids understand the publications. So they tell the scientists, no, your article is still not clear, it's too technical, it's too difficult for kids to understand, so write it again. So have a look at this, and then you can start experimenting and writing an article like it was deemed to publish by Frontier Young Minds. This is what I wanted to show you. And conduct your experiments guided. Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative from the publisher Frontiers. Have a look at this. And if you go to frontiers.org, you will find all the journals from this collection. It's very interesting. And what I wanted to show you is now how to follow science. Pint of Science is a global science festival which started in the UK, and it will begin, it will be in the week from 19 to 21 May. those are the countries where Pint of Science is active. So you go to this website, and then you go to the website according to your country, and they bring thousands of researchers, and in each country, many cities are involved. It's not only the capital, but many cities are involved. So if you go there, they bring researchers into pubs, into restaurants, into public places. So people have the opportunity to follow scientific lectures in plain language, not needing to go to a university or a theater. They go to public places, cafes, pubs, and things like that. So have a look at this link, and then you select your own country and look at the program. It's very close from now, 19 to 21 of May, Pint of Science. It started in UK, and now it's all over the world. This is other country in the Americas. Okay, don't waste the opportunity. We have the Nobel Prize website. You can learn who select the Nobel Prize laureates. You can learn when it will be the announcement of a Nobel Prize 2025. And there is a page which is called Nobel Prize Educational, which is also very, very interesting if you want to know all about the Nobel Prize. And the website is very rich. For example, you want to know something about a Nobel Prize from your own country, like the ones we saw here today, you simply look at this this little magnifying glass, and you put any name, any subject, and the website will locate it for you. So the Nobel Prize website is very, very interesting. But it's in English, okay? Here you have national. I want you just to tell you something. You know, internet, it's a very interesting space, but there is also a lot of fake news. So when you look for scientific content on the internet, be sure to look for certified content, okay? Because fake news are everywhere. So you go to Pint of Science. You let's say for vaccines, you can find fake news, you can find pseudoscience. So be careful about your source. Take something about an institution in your country, a university, a ministry of health, or a ministry of, let's say, natural resources. But be careful to choose a certified source, okay? That is very important because internet sometimes is full of fake news. So you have this Kids National Geographic, you have National Geographic Expeditions, you have National Geographic Magazine, you have also National Geographic TV if you have cable TV, and you have the National Geographic Society. So you have many, many information on the web page of the National Geographic, which is fantastic. You have also NASA Kids Club. So you have here meet the astronauts aboard the space station, see cool pictures from NASA missions, and you have a lot of information on this NASA Kids Club, and this is the link. I will give you this presentation for those who arrived later. This presentation will be sent to you, so you don't have to take notes. This is BBC. BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is a news enterprise, but also has science information. So you have primary, secondary, careers for teachers. So you have a lot of content about science on BBC. What else? You have this Science for Us. They have this website, they have this Instagram page with who was asking about experiments with living insects or something like that, you can find something in this page. Let's say here on Instagram, perhaps they have something here, this exploring. So you can look for some, oh, I'm sorry. You can have something, I open the page here. You can find something, some suggestion of experiments in these pages. Here you have also this, they have short videos, I guess, in YouTube or something. So have a look here. The science for us is also a very interesting source of information, and you can rely on. And there is also some websites I like a lot. How Stuff Works, Fun Learning from Kids, Mystery Science, the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian is an institution which takes care of many, many museums in Washington, D.C. I have been in many of them. They are wonderful. I love the Natural History Museum. You have this website, and you have here Learn Online with the Smithsonian, and this you can find a lot of things. And there is this YouTube channel, Veritasium. They have fantastic videos on what are black holes, and experiments on physics, and experiments on, it's really interesting. And the young man who presents this is particularly brilliant, and he goes to observatories, and he goes to sites where telescopes are situated. And there is also Veritasium in Spanish. You can have a look here. So I like very much Veritasium. They have a whole YouTube channel with videos, and so have a look here. You won't be disappointed. So this is what I had prepared for you, and I think if you feel exploring and searching, then maybe they're the scientist in you. So thank you very much for your patience and for listening. As I told you, I will send you this information through your teacher, Carla, and this presentation will be available to you for the links and for the information. And I don't know if you figured out, my email is in the first page. If you want to write to ask for anything, I'm available, and I will certainly I will answer any doubts that you have. So feel free to write me. I will be at your disposal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well, Dr. Lilian. On behalf of the science department and the entire community from Genuine School, we wanted to sincerely thank you for your time. And for sharing your knowledge. Your insights were really valuable. I know that the students are going to be reviewing those websites that you share with them. We'll be sharing the presentation with you guys so you can as well have the whole information that Dr. Lilian sent today. And we truly appreciate your contribution as well to science, and we look forward to work at, or to have opportunities to as well learn from you in the future. As well, thank you very much, students, the families that are watching as well these live, all the teachers and the staff that are joining us today or joined us today. Your presence helped us, and all your questions helped us a lot to make this conference more meaningful. And well, guys, as we continue as well celebrating our Science Week, we invite you all to continue carrying this excitement about science into your science classes. And well, throughout the rest of the week, we'll continue having different activities. So we really encourage you to continue exploring, to continue questioning, and well, that we can as well continue sparking your curiosity in terms of science. So thank you very much for your time once again, Dr. Lilian, from all of us in the science department and in Genuine School. Thank you.
There are some hands. Do you think I can answer some quick questions?
I'm actually not able to see the hands. I'm not sure if it's my connection or if they lower them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but
Thank you
guys,
very
if you want to send me your questions by email, my email will be in the presentation. So write me, I will answer. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending to these session, to these masterclass. Thank you from the science department and Genuine School, guys. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Dr. Lilian.
Thank you.